A very good evening to all of you. I, Dr. Priyanka Rathi, welcome you all to our 6 days training and faculty development program on advanced tool and techniques for research methodology. Today it's our second day, and our today's topic is research designing and sampling, which and our expert is Dr. Shresh Chabra. Dr. Shresh Chabra holds an PhD degree in labor welfare. He is teaching, he's having teaching experience of more than 21 years and taught undergraduate, postgraduate, executive programs, PhD coursework levels, and guided research projects. In his present assignment, he is associated as associate professor with Delhi College Business School, Indore, an affiliate college of De Montfort University, UK. He has published in national and international journals, conferences, and delis. He is associated as a reviewer with Global Journal of Labour, University of Witwatersrand, South Africa, Web of Science, Journal of HRM, Science Publication Group, New York, USA, General Press, India, Case Focus Journal, UK, Common Ground Research Network University of Illinois Research Park, USA, and International Management Conference as ASE Bucharest. As member of editorial board, he is associated with Annals of Human Resources Management Research, Indonesia, International Journals of Science and Management Studies, Universal Journal of Business and Management USA, and International Journal Academic Research and Development. He's working as a mentor with Startup India, a government of Indian platform for nurturing entrepreneurship, incubation central backed by government of Chhattisgarh, and also a coordinator Indore zone Malwa Nimar. He is also member of Research Foundation of India and Asian Research News, IFERP and INC. He has been session chair for national and international conferences and has conducted MDPs, IMAs, MSMEs, State Electricity Board, police, and other corporate as well. His efforts and contribution has been recognized by Rotary Club, Amity Business School, EMG, SSM Trust, and Institute of Scholars. I welcome you, sir, for our today's session. The dice is all yours. Chabra sir is connecting. Till then, we can wait. Might be some glitches there. By the time Chabra sir is coming, please keep your pens and diaries ready for making your personal notes. I have received sir's message. There is some network issue and glitch at his side. Till that time, I am giving the briefing of today's topic. Our today's topic, research designing and sampling, is all about what we have learned yesterday to implement. How to design your research which is worthy and will definitely meet up with your hypothesis which you have created and give you the best results. Research designing is also about the pattern and the things which are already available all over in market, in world, in research journals. There, what effort you are putting and what extraordinary you are doing. There are a number of research tools which are available, but every tool is not suits you. So which research tool is going to suit you? As per your research design, it is decided. You can have a best topic, you can have a best review of literature, but if you have not put a proper hypothesis, you are not going to find any result. When we talk about research designing, we have to go through many aspects of designing. We have to see the sample size of research designing. We have to see at what area sector, like rural, urban, entrepreneur, business, job, salary base, banking, national, international, government jobs, private jobs, male, female, child, all the genders and all the demographic, geographic, all the feature films we have to see which will be included in our designing. According to the designing, the sample size the sample sizes are collected. According to the hypothesis, the tests are conducted. And all together, it gives us the best result. For sample size and sampling, we have to see how large our topic is, how deep our topic is. We have to see either we are doing a primary research or a secondary research, what resources we have, what resources we are going to use. Basically, all the primary research data have a large number size. Sorting them is again a challenge, but not an issue. There are many recent tools available like SPSS and Python and many more, which can help you to sort your data. When we talk about sample size, we have to see that it is meeting to your goals and expectations or not. It is meeting to the hypothesis or not. The questionnaire which we will design should be in a such way that all the participant who will be participating in your sample, who will be answering your questionnaire, should not do any bifurcation or should not give a illusion response. There are some illusion response and some negative response as well. By the samples, by the test, we have to omit them before using that data to our thesis. I would like to pause and again call Dr. Shresh Chabra if he is available, because the session is his time. I'm so sorry that you all have to wait for Sir. There is some major glitch at his side. He cannot connect. Till the time all the teachers available here from my side, from RFI side, I wish all of you a very happy Teachers' Day. And I wish all the teachers who made you teacher and make you a better person in this, and you all are available in this platform. Again, a very happy Teachers' Day to all of you. Our mother, father are the best and foremost teacher, but we should not forget all the kindergarten teachers, the first, second standard teachers, all the teachers who made us the person we are today. Till the time Sir is connecting, allow me to make you aware with some very essential points which are helpful in research designing. As I have already discussed with you all, that for PhD studies, for research papers, our research designing is a very crucial aspect for any research projects, which includes all those pursued PhD and all the research paper which are already available. We have to collect data from there. We have to, crumble all the available sources, the secondary data which are available in market. I'm talking about secondary data. But for primary data, we have to follow a proper structured and guided process. Without a structured and guided process, we cannot follow our research designing. The formulation of research questions, the formulation of hypotheses, the collection of data, analysis of data, and ultimately drawing of the conclusion, all is completely depend on the topic which you are taking, and the designing is completely depend on how deep you want to go with your topic. When we talk about when we talk about research designing, some points, as there is no PPT available, you can write some very, very essential, important points, which as a researcher, you should be carefully take under concern. First of all, it is about the clarity of purpose. Why you are doing that research? What is the purpose of doing that research designing? Because by clarity, you will come to know that what is the problem I'm going to address. It helps to clarify your goals, your objectives of research, and it will ensure that the study you have done, the study you are going to address, have a specific research questionnaire, and by that only a proper hypothesis is formulated. The second very important point which is to be considered is methodology selection. It is all about what pattern of techniques, tools you are going to use, the method you are going to use for your research and designing. It helps to choose the appropriate research method and techniques to gather the data. When we talk about methodology selection, this includes the decision about whether to use a qualitative or a quantitative method, a survey or an experiment or a case study, or a combination of all these for your research paper for your PhD. I repeat again, the methodology is all about selection of quantity or quality. It is, I'm so sorry, I have to stop in between. Uh, Dr. Deepal G, can you please stop pinning? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Lot of glitch today. RFI, Shresh Chavra sir has joined, or should I continue with briefing? I think Chavra sir is about to join, so I must stop here. No, sir, you are not properly audible. Sir, you have joined, and I can see your raised hand. Can you please open your mic by which I can communicate with you? No, sir, you are not audible right now. It is, you can just, can you just share your screen by which I can see if your screen is sharing or not, if I'm audible to you? So your screen is visible. I can see it, but you're not audible. Can you use your cell phone to speak for this? I can see the first slide of your PPT. It's a humble request to all the available people here. Kindly excuse us for the glitch. We are so sorry for the glitch, but it is, it's all technical and technology. We are, surrendered under this.
Am I audible, ma'am? Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, sir, you are audible, but you are echoing. One,
Is it echoing now also, ma'am?
no, sir, it is absolutely fine. I will
Great.
call you to the dice. I have snatched some precious your time and just
I'm
started.
really sorry to everyone. I'm humbly sorry to everyone for it's been a terrific glitch. I don't understand what has might have went wrong with the system. I was trying it right from quarter to five. I'm terribly sorry to all the participants, all my respected colleagues. I'm terribly sorry. So without taking any further time of yours,
Sir,
Priyanka ma'am, with your permission, can I start with the session?
just give me a second. I
Sure.
am I am from RFI and from the team. I am also apologizing, and please give an opportunity to sir. And we all understand that this glitch is out of our control, so we should surrender to the current situation, and we should carry forward with the current education. And I request everyone to kindly keep your mics muted. Whatever you have to ask, you just raise your hand. We will answer you later, as sir is facing some glitch. So answer will be given in the end. Thank you so much, sir. Please, the dice is yours. It is all your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Uh, so, on behalf of the entire team RFI and on my side as well, I wish all my respected faculty colleagues who have joined in today a very happy Teachers Day to everyone. It's been it's honor to talk to you all today.
Same to you, sir. Happy Teachers' Day.
Happy Teachers Day, ma'am. Once
Again,
again,
again, a humble request. Please, can all cooperate and keep their mic switch off, by which we can, manage the glitch. Thank you so much.
thank you, Priyanka ma'am. Thank you, Team RFI. Thank you, Ajay sir, and thank you everyone who is involved in this, this program to make this program a success. And special thanks to all the participants who have joined in today, and especially, at this hour. Uh, so once again, please accept my sincere apologies for the technical glitch which has delayed this entire, the setup today. My sincere apologies to that thing. So I would just start with this thing. We are aware of this idea, or we should be aware of this idea. I believe most of you either are, I can see some doctors in the list. I can see most would be your my faculty colleagues, or maybe research scholars who would be joining, or who might have joined in for today. So it would be more of an experience sharing, rather than you might be technically aware of what the things are and how things work. So it I would like to share most of my experiences in this idea, or most of my ideas, in the way that we have a discussion around. Uh, so so if I want to start with this idea that before you do something, if you have got a house in place, or you want to execute something, you should have, or you must have, what you should say, uh, a design in place. Okay, a design, some blueprint in mind on which you would work upon. To start with this idea, let me give you an idea, and then we would start on it. Yesterday, my senior faculty colleague, Deepak sir, would have spoken about how to what should I say, how to frame a topic, or how to decide onto a topic. Now the question of framing a topic, or the question when it comes to mind, that okay, I want to do some research, whether you want to do a research based on, say, on you want to write a research paper, or you want to write a thesis, whatever format of research you are into as of now, please understand one practical idea onto this. First thing, what should be researched upon can be a different idea. I'm not getting into that thing, that how you should decide on your research, or how you should decide on your research idea, because as I told you, my senior colleague has already spoken on that. But once you have decided on this broader idea, that as to what can be the research largely, I would like you to do what should I call it, a mind mapping of the research. Say, for example, let me give you an idea. say if we can, somebody in the group who is present today who is doing a PhD or who is pursuing a PhD or writing a research paper.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone would like
Yes,
to
sir.
give any topic? Would share their topic? Yes. Tanvi ma'am, you want to share your topic or anyone? Okay.
So
Biofuel.
instructional leadership.
With Sudha ma'am, I missed your voice.
It's instructional leadership that I'm working on.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Uh,
So instructional leadership. Okay. For the benefit of group, can you please, give a very brief idea of your topic so that everyone understands when I pick up this topic as to what can be done or what can be how to go further with it.
so instructional leadership is a practice. I'm concentrating on the principles of schools only,
Hmm.
but it can be extended to colleges and in organizations also,
Hmm.
HR
Hmm.
organizations, of course. But
Okay.
I'm restricting it to schools.
Okay. So what exactly are you looking forward to in instructional leadership?
So instructional leadership is a practice by principals that actually works curriculum which works curriculum and instructional practices both for the benefit of teachers and students and the school as such.
Okay.
That's a rough idea. So
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Say, for example, let's take this example as instructional leadership. We can have more examples coming in. As I said, I would try and be more interactive with you rather than, being very theoretical on this idea. So I would take inputs from you from time to time. So, Sudha ma'am, let's start with this idea of instructional leadership. Okay.
yes, sir.
So, meanwhile, others can think about their own topic. If we have more PhD scholars attending in this thing, so I would like and give you a broader idea onto it, not an exact idea. Go by your guide's word, but a broader idea or broader clarity onto it. So, like say, if you are thinking, you might have given a thought to this idea that instructional leadership. Now, this idea would have cropped up in your mind that what exactly is instructional leadership? How effective is instructional leadership? How many schools do, say, for example, in Sudha ma'am is trying to do something in the school level. So, how many schools do practice instructional leadership? Or, what method of instructional leadership is most effective? Something like that. So, you would have, thoughts in bits and pieces. Okay, please take it this as only an example. Okay, so this you might have just into a thoughts and pieces. My idea to you would be that once you are trying to finalize a topic, whether of a research paper or of PhD, try and draw it from the end that what exactly largely what you would like to see onto this idea that what how do you see, say for example, your topic proceeding ahead. Say, for example, I come back to the topic which Sudha ma'am has given us, instructional leadership. So, which area in instructional leadership are you interested in? The methods, the outcomes, the effectiveness. So, you have to decide on first idea that what exactly is instructional leadership, or what exactly do you mean? How exactly would you like to look into instructional leadership? That can be your question number one. I'm not talking about research objectives now. No, I'm trying to give you a research, broader idea of this idea that you have got in mind that we are discussing that how you can create a blueprint of your research. So one
So,
idea is
sir,
that
may I
yeah, please.
interrupt in between, sir?
Yeah.
Sir, I would like to just for a clarity, I would like to tell you and the audience, of course, that this is a kind of leadership that is followed mostly in the West, and it's not widely research topic in Indian schools and in India. So,
Okay.
just an information so that yeah,
Fair enough.
it's just for
How
the
how, how
benefit.
did this idea struck to your mind of doing you are doing your PhD on this?
Yes, sir. I'm doing my
Okay.
PhD on that.
So how did this idea came to your mind that you should do your PhD on instructional leadership?
So this is when I was not in India, when I was in abroad, when I was working abroad. So that's
Okay.
when
So
that's
you
when
might have, you might have first hand observed instructional leadership.
yes, sir.
Okay, great. So that's what I'm saying. So you should largely look into the area which you might have observed, you might have read about, you might have read some literature regarding that, something like that, which can give you a clarity as to what is your thought. So once you're clear on this thought, broad thought, my idea of the example that I was taking up is that largely try and build up a blueprint, you know largely try and build up a roadmap in front of you, that how you would be looking forward to, uh, how you would be largely looking forward to this idea of doing things, or how you would go about uh, this thing, how you would go about this topic. So it would be, it would be built up in many fragments, and once you are able to build those fragments, one, two, you are able to build on a connection between this fragment. That is how the research design would help you understand a larger basis of what exactly you are willing to do, or what exactly are you trying to do with the research. Okay. So the first question that should come to your mind while you are trying to frame something is that, okay, say for example, again, let's continue with Sudha ma'am's example, instructional leadership, or you ask on to the next question, that what parameters of instructional leadership would you like to take up in Indian context? If I go with the information provided to us by Sudha ma'am, that it is not very popular in the Indian schools. So what you would like to study, that why Indian schools have not adopted it, or maybe how Indian schools can adopt it. Which parameters would you like to see in Indian context? Okay. Or you would like to do a simple comparison between India and West. So you know this would be a wide variety of questions that should come to your mind when you are planning a research paper, or you are planning a research uh, topic, or you're trying to finalize this thing, because behind answering this many things would come up this idea, that how do you finalize, or how do you look into the larger part of research. Okay. So you would be able to draw many things based on your initial questions like this. So take time to answer this such initial questions, because jumping into something without knowing where to dive in is most hazardous thing. And let me honestly tell you, many people, uh, they take up certain critical cases in finance. Okay, I've seen that since I come from a background of management. So they take up critical cases in finance, and then they realize that it's not possible, that banks are not divulging such data. Banks are, they are holding this thing. Okay. So then that becomes, I'm really am I audible here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. So so uh, it becomes very tough to, at that level, that you are not able to connect, or you are not able to get any data. Now think about it, that you are in the middle of your PhD, you are in the middle of doing something, and now you are not able to do it. You're getting my point? Okay. So you're stuck with the data, because the bank is not giving you the data. One of the your one of your one of your problem is that the bank is not giving you a data. So that becomes a problem. So that's what I'm saying, that at times it becomes a huge issue. One second, please. Okay. So it becomes a huge issue that you have jumped into PhD, you have started with the PhD, and now you are not able to get the data. So that's the reason I'm saying it's not only about the data, it's about many things which are, which are in bits and pieces. uh, One, see, one may not realize entire thing, but, and I do understand that PhDs are projects. Okay, that means, like say we teach project management, so PhD is equally a project. Okay, that you have to manage. So at times things would roll out of your hand, but if you have planned it well, the larger part of it would be that you would not be, completely missing out on things. You would be taking in things with some clarity, and you would have some clarity as to what exactly you want. Because this clarity, if you are still to, appear for your synopsis, or even if you have submitted your synopsis, at many point in time during your PhD, you would be asked with this question, that what exactly you wish to do in this topic. So that clarity is where research design would help you give that clarity. So to for a good research design, these are the four things that I have picked up. Okay, obviously, don't carry any biasness towards anything. At times you tend to become biased. Say for example, if you are doing some gender based research, and if you are a male or if you are a female, that gender biasness is likely to crop in. Likely, I'm not saying that you it would definitely, but that is likely to crop in. Save yourself from that type of you know a bias towards anything. Okay, so as a researcher, keep yourself away from such biases. It's easy to say, but at times your biasness may flow in. Please prevent yourself from such biasness. Okay, and you know like I give you an example for this. uh, One of my director, he believed that people who smoke are of loose character. They are not a good character people who smoke. So say for example, at any point of time, if he is the one who is researching on smoking habits, okay, so what would happen? I hope you got my question. You believe that people who smoke are not, a good character people. They are, the character is a question mark, people who smoke. So what do you think, what would happen?
So that will create a sort of biasness in his head when he's pursuing his research that he had
So his
already made up his mind.
Hmm. So Nisha ma'am is saying that it's not always true. I agree that that's not always true. Okay. So I hope you got my concept of neutrality. Okay. That at times you have your own biasness, your own prejudices, and if you research from that prejudice perspective, the first thing that you would draw would be based on character. Okay. And this links me to another idea of validity. See, validity means that you are trying to measure what it is intended to measure. Say, for example, I ask you a very simple question. I want to measure personality. What type of question should I ask? I hope my question is clear. I want to measure personality. Okay, I want to test personality. I'm sure some of you might have undergone some type of personality tests. Have you? At one point or other point of our time in life, we might have all gone through some type of personality test. Okay, shall I ask you more simpler question? Say, for example, uh, if we all use mobile. Yes. Okay. We all use mobiles. Now, I want to ask you. I want to conduct a survey in this group. There are almost 100 participants. I want to conduct a survey in this group to know that what features of What features do you look into when you are buying a mobile? Is my question clear? I repeat, what features you look while buying a mobile? Okay. So what all features?
Good camera.
Memory, camera, okay, RAM,
Battery backup.
battery backup, good,
Yes, sir.
processor,
Price.
storage,
iOS.
price, display,
Design.
design, great. Okay. Yes, the price,
Weight.
the weight. Okay. Privacy settings, motherboard, brand, network. That's it. I believe we covered most of it. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Why we listed down all these factors? Quality, yes. Okay. In any mention about, say, for example, uh, does purchase of the mobile should include factor like a review of mobile? So what do other customers says about this mobile? Something like that. Should we include that? Yes. Okay. Say for example, I want to do a research on factors affecting consumers' decision to buy a mobile. Very simple. Yes. Okay. Out of all these factors that you listed, I do not want to include brand and say customer feedback. I repeat, I do not want to include brand and customer feedback. Will my research be valid? In the sense that have I considered all factors affecting brand preference or the factors affecting the consumers buying a mobile?
Not valid.
I hope you got my answer to this, that what is validity, what does validity mean? Okay. See, in a research design, validity is what you are trying to measure. Is it measuring that? Okay. Is it measuring the thing that you want to measure? Has it asked all type of question? If I'm say if I want to test validity of a questionnaire, so have I asked all questions? Have I considered factors which actually do this? I hope my point is clear. Reliability means that if I measure it repeatedly, would it give me the same result? Say, for example, at times you see that housewives they measure the rice to be made in a house by a cup or some type of a measuring. They have their own measures, like say a glass of rice or a cup of rice, or they might have their own measures to measure it. Agreed? And they know that if you want to measure it for, say, if you are called two people for dinner, then half a glass rice would be enough. If three people are there, then say this one. So every time you take 1 cup rice, how would it be? How much would it be? Every time you take 1 cup rice, okay, how much would it be?
For 2%.
Either it would be for 2 person, or every time you take 1 cup rice, it would be 1 cup. Yes,
Yes.
simple. You're getting my point. So that means every time you say, if your measure is that every time you take 1 cup of rice, it would be say for 2%, would be for 4%, whatever your measure is. But you are sure that every time I would take 1 cup, it would measure how much? 1 cup. Got my point? This is reliability of measure. What it The result would always be same. Say for example, if something is intended to measure, say you buy a vegetable, okay, you are buying a vegetable. So how would you buy a vegetable? Someone would put it on a weighing scale to say that this is 250 grams, 500 grams, whatever. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So what would happen then? So every time you buy a vegetable, you would see at the weighing scale. You buy petrol, you see at the petrol meter. That is the reliability. If the same amount of petrol every time you get as 1 liter, that means this entire machine is reliable. Am I clear on this? That's how reliability is measured. Over a period of time, if the same result is generated, repeated result is generated, that is reliability. Okay. If you are measuring what it is intended to measure, okay, that is what is validity of that thing. And the last one, generalization. That means, can I say you did a research on, say, gender preferences? Say, can you give me an example of someone in the middle of their PhD? Some example? Some PhD scholar can give me an example of from your topic. Tell me your topic. What topic you are on to?
So
Are-
developing new motifs or patterns in Fulkari embroidery.
Okay, great. What is your research idea in this? How far you have gone into it, ma'am, as of now?
I have started developing new motifs and visited artisans, the craftsmen, and did a survey that old
Okay,
motifs have been repeatedly used, and now no innovation, no new technology is being used.
okay. And is this you are doing in some area specific?
Yeah, yeah, area
Which
specific.
area you are
Pun-
concentrating on, ma'am?
Punjab only.
Punjab. Say, for
Yes,
example, is this design available somewhere else in the world, or say in India?
yes, yes.
So if I want to say that in general, can you repeat the topic? Which design you said?
Fulkari embroidery.
Fulkari embroidery. So can I
Yes,
generalize this sentence and say that as per madam's research, the Fulkari designs do not use, say, are still run on a traditional pattern, and still they do not use any modern techniques of doing such.
yes,
Will it be will it be agreeable?
yes.
If it is agreeable, that means your research is reliable and valid both.
Okay.
Are you getting my point?
Yes,
If
sir.
I can draw a generalization from the research, then that research that research is reliable also, and that is validated also. Okay. The
Yes,
limit
sir.
to which I can generalize it, you can say that no, no, that may be a case only with Punjab. That may not be case, say, for example, with Maharashtra. Say, for example, I'm just trying to give you an example. If that may be the case, I'm not saying questioning the generalization, but that generalization then would be limited. That this study
Yes, sir.
is generalized, but to the extent that this result which I have obtained are that can be done only with the. So sorry, it has lost again. I don't know what is the problem today.
Sir, you are okay, sir. No problem.
Okay, so that generalization can be done, but provided this generalization is to the extent you can see, the larger generalization that you can do, the better it would be for research. Say, for example, in Sudha ma'am's case, you can say that this can be generalized. Okay, which one? This can be generalized in to the extent that that this is applicable only in the West or in some schools, but not all over the schools in India. So it is not that one study can be general, but yes, everyone looks out for some general trends that can be found from your PhD. Please remember this. This is where the question, or this is where the application of your PhD would come in.
So,
Okay. Say for example, Sudha ma'am, I'm coming to your example.
okay.
Say for example, Sudha ma'am found out that this is not, this is limited to some schools in India, but this is what can be done by schools to increase or to increasingly adopt instructional leadership. Am I, are you able to understand this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's how probably things can be improved when it comes to generalization. Okay. Any questions before I move to the next part of it?
So, no question, sir, but I would just
Sure.
like to state
Please,
this,
please,
sir.
please.
According to the new NEP, though they have not specified, though they have not spelled out the word instructional leadership, but the way it has been framed, it actually encourages instructional leadership.
That's
The
great.
practice of instructional leadership. Yes.
That's great. That's good. So you in your research further, you can link that with NEP also.
Correct. Sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So that means it is being mandated by NEP. So that would help you. That would help people understand that okay, this is how it can be linked with NEP, and this is how things can be done better. So that's how probably I hope that this is clear. This idea is clear to you on these parameters. Any questions? Any further questions till now?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
So we move on to this thing now. That you can look forward to largely these three types of research design. Okay, so let's take them one by one. Most of the social sciences research are in the descriptive types. Okay, like say you want to say, for example, if I again draw an example from Sudha ma'am, it's nothing personal, I'm just taking it only as an example. Okay,
Absolutely fine, sir.
okay. So say, if anyone other wishes, they can give me their example, and I can relate with them. Okay, so it's perfectly okay with me. So say for example, Sudha ma'am wants to find out that how many schools in India are following currently instructional leadership. So that means you are trying to report the data from the field. A company wants to know that how many customers are satisfied with the product. Say I have launched the product a year or two ago. So you might be participating in say many feedbacks every day. Say for example, you had a food at restaurant. So many restaurant would at the end with the bill present to you a small feedback form. How was the food? How was the staff? Whether they were courteous and things like that. So this is a descriptive research. That means you are trying to understand what exactly you are trying to report the data from the field. So as I told you, most of the social science research are descriptive in nature, most of them. Okay, not all of them, but yes. So therein, wherein you are trying to understand that how things work. Okay, say for example, you can take feedback on policy of the government, you can take feedback on many things. Okay, like say this has been done, how are you evaluating this system? Say for example, we just spoke about NEP. So is NEP implemented in your state? So what is the state of or what is the level of implementation of NEP at your place, in this university, whatever the case? So you can pick up many things and do a descriptive research onto it. So what exactly you can do with a descriptive research? For example, you can do a comparison. Okay, say after COVID, we all have, so you can do a thing between a pre-COVID and post-COVID type of things. Okay, so you can say, for example, after post-COVID, many people have started with many, technology interface has increased. So you can start with talking about this thing that Are you okay with this technological thing? Okay, or you are still okay with that pen paper type of thing. So you can do many types of comparison in this. I remember earlier, PhD in economics or in commerce were mostly like era pre 91, post 91, after the new industrial policy was announced. So now people are more interested in the pre post COVID times. You can talk about relationships, you can link things, but then please remember one thing: if you are trying to look into relationships, please look into relationships based on, say, some logic. Say, for example, I want to write a research paper. I don't want to do a PhD. I want to write a research paper on the size of window in the library and the propensity that a student would sit into the library. I hope you got my research query. I want to study the relationship between the size of window in the library and how does it influences the student to sit on the in the library. Am I doing right?
Yes, yes.
If you can be please a bit louder on this. Am I doing right? Is it logical? Would this research make sense?
No, sir, it wouldn't make any sense because
Oh
the person
God.
who's sitting in the library would like to, see the research material in the books rather than a window.
Arey, for all these years, I thought that this would make absolute sense, and you disheartened me by saying that it won't make a sense.
No,
You
sir,
need
actually,
to.
for some people who might not be interested in studying, they would go for the size of the window.
See, I hope you got my point. Okay, there is no point comparing between. I see how somehow I can draw a relationship between that, how how the amount of sunlight would impact your vitamin D level, and that would produce happiness in you, and that would give some. I can go on and do something, but the question is primary question. Okay, yes, if one is measuring the ventilation, thank you, Miss Anjali, for improving this idea with me. So no, so my point is that why do people sit into library is one idea. Okay, what I am trying to draw a relationship between two variables, that is size of window and student in the library. It may appeal to some. I can justify it at the end. Okay, but prima facie, would it look logical? That is a question mark. That is what my idea to you is, or that is what my simple request to you is. Try and draw some logical connections, some logical relationships between what exactly you are studying. Okay, don't try to club into or combine into many things which may not have any idea, or which may be and something which are exceptional phenomena. Okay, then your idea, your the data on some such type of would become very become very meager. Okay, at times you are not able to find out that, say for example, I give you an example too. One of my student came to me and said to me that, sir, I want to do a research on this thing, that why many of the victims, he was carrying some cuttings of the paper, and he was saying that as per this data, as per that data, he quoted some data to tell me that why some of the rape victims do not go and complain to police, or they don't make any upfront complaint. Okay, so what exactly, tell me two or three questions. You are a management student, how would this research would help you? That is my question number one. Question number two, even if you want to do this research, go ahead. How would you find the data for it? How would you find the sample size for it? Okay, where would you find the sample for this, and how difficult or easy it would be for you to find a sample? So my question to you is that at times we may observe many things going around which may give us an idea of the research, think about it. Okay, that is it something that you can actually do? I'm not saying that you cannot do a research on this topic. I'm not saying that. Please go ahead and do that research. But the question is that, are you equipped enough to do this research? So please try and draw something which you can, please, what I always call it bite size. Okay, don't try to take it all once. Go slow, understand it, that would it be something that should I be doing this? Okay, it may be in many researches that can come to your mind, but again the question remains the same: would you be able to find the data on to this? How would you go about it? So that's the reason I was, I started my slide saying that try and draw a blueprint of it, larger blueprint. You can you think about a house that, okay, you have bought a plot and you would make a house out of it, you have just been, placing bricks and trying to make a design out of it. No, you can't. Okay, see, you may make a sand castle, that is okay. Okay, you also understand that's not permanent thing, but you cannot make a home like sand castle. Yes, I hope now you would be able to understand what I'm trying to tell you. So try and sound more logical in more of the ways. Okay. So what can you do with this descriptive research? It can be a case study, it can be a cross sectional, or it can be qualitative. Let's take them quickly one by one. Say, for example, case study. You want to study only one company, fair enough. You want to study any particular organization, a particular industry, largely a particular organization. Okay, so you want to, you want to specifically gain about it. The only problem with a case study is that it's very difficult to generalize. Okay, see what Tatas do good. Okay, it's a benchmark, agreed, with due respect, but can every company become Tata? Everyone knows what are the good practices of Tata. Yes, we keep reading about best practices all over the world. So can every other company become Tata? If if good practices are available, so good practices are available, they are widely published also. So why no, Surabhi ma'am, you said no? Anyone? Why no? Kiran Reddy ma'am also said no. Why can't? See, it's, it has got a limited generalization. Okay, there are many factors that might have, that Tatas have practiced for years, and that Tatas has followed for years to make it a respectable company. Okay, others are also following their own practices, and they have made their own respect in their own domain. Okay, so it's not necessary that every other company should be following the footstep of some other something else. Okay, so that's where, we need to understand that someone has got some characteristics which they are good at, others may have their own characteristics. So that's where the case study is limited. So I would strongly advise you that if you are writing a PhD thesis, please save yourself from case studies. You're writing a research paper, you want to write a research paper, go ahead and write a research paper. Okay, what else you can do? You can do a stratified group. Stratified groups are those groups which can, which can have a different, say, their characteristics are not, which are exclusive in nature. Okay, so like, say you are doing a gender based research, you are comparing only male and female. Okay, so doing a gender based research on, say, something like say, how to say, what does shopping means to gender? Okay, so say for men and women, you interviewed men and women, and then you are trying to find out that what does shopping means to them. So something like this. So that is a cross sectional research wherein you have got a stratified group, you have got a group which can be, which have got a definite characteristics, and these definite characteristics are non-duplicate in nature. Okay, so so you can compare between these two groups, so that can be done. Many of this, the, the Z and T test are applied on such type of studies. uh, so it's a good thing, but over a period of time you may prefer a longitudinal study in nature. Okay, longitudinal studies, they take in consideration time also. Okay, like say I was just giving you that the pre-COVID, post-COVID type, something like that. Qualitative type studies, recently, one of my colleagues, she's doing this qualitative study. So what you do exactly with the qualitative study is that you take a largely a part of either a structured or an unstructured interview to understand, say, what are the factors that leads to something. You may not be able to capture all all at once within a questionnaire. It's not necessary that you may be able to capture all factors in a questionnaire. So the best thing is that if that is the limitation of your study, that you may not be able to capture all factors in a questionnaire, it's always advisable, it's always better that you do a face to face, or you do some type of an interviews or some research like this. May I request everyone to please mute the mic. Amitji, please mute your mic. Thank you. Amitji, Amitji, please mute your mic. Amitji, am I audible to you? Thank you. So, so if you have got such type of a background wherein, you want to ask, uh, or you want to know that specifically what exactly is the data, or how exactly is the data placed. And as I told you, it may not be always possible. Like say, you was giving an example of my friend who is recently completing her PhD. So she is undertaking an idea that how, say, she's drawing a data of early mothers, mothers who have got kids, up to say 2 years or 3 years of age, and then she's linking it with the baby, the life of mother, and based on this two, she's trying to draw a conclusion on how does these things affect the buying pattern. Okay, so she's trying to link this thing through an interview, and she almost takes an interview for almost 45 minutes. So that is how you would be able to draw several ideas based on this thing, that how do you draw uh, conclusions, or how do you draw, it becomes very difficult to capture all these ideas into a very lengthy question. Nobody answers a lengthy questionnaire. So if that is so, and you are permitted by your guide, go ahead for with a qualitative research. I would come on to this idea also. uh, or what you can do is that this can be another idea for you that you explore. Okay, so many things are still, if you are talking about anything on COVID, see, many things are unclear about COVID. Okay, you are still to explore many dimensions related to COVID. So there are not, it can be that some phenomena are established, but other phenomena are yet to be established. Okay, so based on that thing, that how has COVID affected, say, based on your area of interest, say if you are saying, for example, fashion, or how has COVID affected, say, learning, many things like that. So whichever area is of your interest, you can draw a type of, you can draw into, to some extent it is will be known to you, some extent, but largely it would be exploratory. Okay, so that is a combination which you can uh, equally look forward to. Okay, the only thing is that it is a time consuming kind of thing. Amitji, your mic is on again. Amitji, would request you to please mute your mic. Thank you. Experimental designs, like say you want to compare between these two things. For example, again, let me, I told you one thing that, uh, say, for example, I want to do a retail research in retail. Please understand this question thing. Okay. I want to do a research in retail. What I want to do that if I play music in a retail uh, setting, okay, then consumers tend to buy more. Or simply put it, what is the impact of music on the buying pattern of the consumers? Is my question clear to you? Is my research question clear to you?
Sir, please repeat, sir, one time. Please repeat.
The buying pattern, how music impacts the buying pattern of consumers in a retail setting. Say, for example, we all are exposed to DMart. Say, for example, I'm just using DMart as one example. Okay, nothing, no things to it. Say, we all are exposed to DMart or any other such retail format. So, if I play music, what is the likely impact of, say, consumers, or what is the likely impact of music on the consumers? Is my question clear? Okay. So that is where, if I can do something like that. Okay. Like say, there are studies which have shown to you that how does music, or even for example, that how does the perfume, or the room fresheners, the smell of room fresheners, they impact consumers buying pattern. Okay. That means if my retail setting has got say a particular, say every day I use a new, say, fragrance. Someday I use it lemons, other day lavender, another day rose, something like that. So I want to know that how much this, or the fragrance would impact the buying pattern of the consumers. That the more they stay, the more they would buy, something like that. So I have got my own idea to research into. Okay. So uh, what my point telling you is that research, say for example, retailers, they keep doing certain experiments with their retail outlets. So which
Sir, these tools comes in advertisement also, we can say that.
many things, Raviji, this is just an example that I'm giving you. You can look into many ideas. Okay, that how do certain settings would impact consumers buying pattern, the way consumers think. You can look it from a very different type of a perspective. Okay, you can even look into that thing. Say for example, that if I um, say for example, we as teacher also experiment many things. Okay, like say I want to make my class more interactive, so what can I do with to make my class more interactive? Okay, so you can, you can, you might have read it some point. Say for example, you might have read it at some place that this, say for example, this was done in US. So can I copy it now? Okay, or can I do and can I try this simulation in my course, something like that. So this all would come under experimental design, wherein you can look in from a different idea. Okay, like say you want to see that, okay, you have, say for example, the temperature of the room. Okay, and uh, what should I say, the buying characteristics of consumer. How does temperature impacts the buying characteristics?
It will impact, sir. Surely it will impact.
Okay, so I keep some consumers in a moderate temperature, some consumers in a, say a slightly colder conditions. During summers I'm talking, during summers. Okay, so during summers, if I keep temperature moderate or comparatively colder than outside, would it impact the, or how would it convert the clients that come in, say for example. So you can look in from a various type of an idea to see that whether some factors impact or factors do not impact. I hope you are trying to get my point. Okay. So you may look in for, see, how do we know that, say for example, if I go back with the same example, that how we can, what factors impact mobiles. So how can you list all these factors? Because one, we all are consumers. Second, say some studies might have suggested you something, so we have validated those factors and their impact on mobiles buying behavior. So since mobile are very, we were talking of mobile which has traveled almost more than 2 decades of its life in India. Say for example, AI. Okay, we are still to experience AI in real life situations. Okay, we have but limited type of thing. So how would people react towards AI? Something like that. Okay, so that's what I'm saying, that you can make up things which are still to be, which are in nascent stage. They are more things which can, which can, you can look forward to explore, and probably you can look forward from an experimental research. Like say last example, and then I would quickly move on to the sampling part. Many colleges, they have got a special batch for English, okay, to increase the proficiency of English. Many, school colleges in North India and Central India would have such batches to increase, especially when it comes to placements. Okay, so they want to increase that proficiency in language. I have got two ideas for you. You make two separate batches. One batch which is good in English, another batch which is not so good in English, average in English. So, and you give them coaching. Okay, you train them. Is it the right way of doing it? I hope you got my example. I have got, say, a batch of 60 students. I want to say I want to start with a language training part, because I feel that language is an essential component in placements. So what I do, I divide the batch into two parts. One which is, above average, and one which is, say, average and below average. So I divide this batch based on their knowledge of English. So I want to give them extra language classes to improve the language. What do you think? Would it help?
It will help, sir. It will help.
It will help. Okay.
Yes, sir. It will help.
Because, you all would feel that this is a logical way of doing it. Otherwise, how someone would decide that, what. But let me tell you one shocking thing. We did it, on purpose. And we found out that the better results would be obtained if you mix the two batches, because the batch with so-called poor language, despite of all efforts, remained poor, since they felt that they were labeled as poor. I hope you're getting my point. Since they were labeled as being poor, this is what, our practical experiment showed to us. We did this experiment for 3 years, okay, with one of our BBA batch, and this was the conclusion that we draw. And the fourth batch, we kept a mix of it, okay, some poor with some, better English type of. Slowly we thought, we observed this thing, that initially, initially, agreed, Sudha ma'am, that, curriculum should be different. But initially, we provided that thing. I'm not getting into the detail of this experiment as of now, because then, we would be limited with the time. But with the passage of time, we found that if we kept these two batches, okay, then the way the language was developed was more in a combination batch, wherein, we combined this so-called less or below average English with a more you know this language. We created a mixed language bag. So different experiments, different results. So obviously that is why it is an experimental design. Okay. So clear with this idea of designs. And finally, I move on to the last thing. At times, I would strongly suggest you as a researcher, especially if you are doing a PhD, go with a mixed design. This is my personal recommendation to you. Why I tell you? Questionnaires are not meant to capture all data. Questionnaires would give you some form of, what should I say, some form of numeric data. Okay. To the extent it can, you may use a Likert scale or something like that. But at times, you would also be interested in knowing that why this data. Okay. Something, you cannot put everything in questionnaire. That would make questionnaire too clumsy and lengthy. So I would strongly suggest that if possible in your PhD, go with a mixed design. That means to one extent questionnaire, and to some extent ask, meet people, ask them basic questions that to give you an idea that why this data. Another strong reason why I should recommend mixed design is that this would give you an idea as to when you're writing discussions and inferences, this discussions and inferences would come from this your answers of why the data. Okay. So if you want to take a further deep into it, go with this mixed design. I would personally recommend this. Okay. If your thesis allows, if your objectives allows you, and if your guide allows you, go with this. Okay. So I no, but by and large, we have talked about this thing that how can you choose the data, how you should look for the data, what factors you would impact you, what factors you should look into, something like that. Okay. Any any further questions before I move on to the second and last part of my presentation for the day? Anything that you would like to ask me? Any questions till this point? Anyone would like to ask any question till this point? Okay, how to select a design? Okay, fair enough. Uh, then let's take this. Okay. See, you know, like say, I generally, let me give you a brief idea. What exactly you are up to? What is your topic? Your topic is mostly descriptive in nature. That means you are trying to report something. Like say, I just give you an idea. Factors impacting the choice of mobile phone in consumers. So if that is your research question, then which design should you follow? Answer it. If this is your question, factors impacting choice of mobile phones, which research design should this question, this topic follow? Anyone? Descriptive. Why Gen Z? Why it should be descriptive? Because as it goes, it's more of a reporting. Okay, so you are yes. So because it's already existence here, you are reporting the data. So that is, I hope you got my point, Gen Z, that how things. What is your research question? What are your objectives? Based on that, say example, for example, if you want to draw a comparison on some established phenomena, then go for, say, a cross-sectional design in descriptive. Okay, say we talked about gender things. If you want to explore something, or if you want to if if you have got an experimental idea, okay, say before and pre and post type of things, pre and post COVID, you want to do something like this, then you see my Explaining my explanation is very simple. Please look into your research question. What is that you want to research? That's what I said. Try and draw a blueprint. Your research design would you would automatically answer what research design should I pick up. Have I explained this? Any further questions before I move on to my last topic?
Sir,
Okay.
price demand relationship belongs to descriptive design.
So sorry, Raviji, if you can please talk again, speak it again.
Sir, price demand relationship belongs to descriptive design.
Okay, price demand relationship. Obviously, see, you know the phenomena. Okay, you know the phenomena. So what you want to do of a particular commodity, you want to study the pattern. So that means you would largely report it. So by default, it would be a descriptive design in nature. Okay, so now we come on to the last part of my presentation, sampling and sampling distribution. Since we are left with half an hour, so I would try and complete it to the no. See, you understand this basic. These basics are clear to you that there is a population from which you want an answer. Please understand this. There is a population from which you want an answer. Okay. If I am doing a research on, say, uh, flights or airline, then my population would be people obviously who use, who use such facilities, who have traveled in airlines. So that would be my population. And from that population, since it is that population may be large, it may not be, I may not be able to go and talk to everyone. So what I do, I draw a sample which is a representative of that population. However, you understand that if the sample is size is small, okay, then what should be done? Then you should go with census. That means you should contact every person or every then the entire sampling is your population. Okay, so entire, your population and the sample sizes is the same. Am I clear with this idea? Okay, so please understand this while choosing a sample. This should be, some basic ideas that you should keep in mind. You know, many peoples when they start with their research, they want to cover as many population as they can, 2000, 3000, 4000 samples like this. Don't, be falsified with this idea. I would come to this idea that, what can be an actual sample size, what can be a good sample size. I would come to this idea later or towards the end. But, you know initially many people start with this thing. "Arey, nahi, sir, it's very easy to go and touch base with 1000 people, so I can take the sample as 1000 or 1500 or something like that." Good, if you can, that's what I say. If you have chosen a bite size, go with that. Okay, but please decide the bite size very carefully and very systematically. Okay, at times it can be cost, at times there can be many limitations while choosing a sample. Okay, so you understand that you can have a two method. We can talk about two methods of sampling: random and non-random in nature. Okay, wherein you have got every unit if that is selected. Say for example, you have looked into that lottery selection methods. So you have put in chits of, say, 114 participants which are present over here, and that is put in a big box. So you mix that box and you pick up one. So that becomes a random sample. Simple. Okay. So if there is no probability that everyone can be chosen, okay, some of my participants are just, put the list. I asked, say, 10 of the participants who have interacted with me that I felt good about them. So you keep your list, you keep your name above all the list, and then I choose from one of them. Then that's a non-random type of sample. That means I'm not giving everyone a fair chance to enter into that sample. Okay, so it's not about giving only about being a fair chance. It's about that I may I may not consider the entire sample altogether. Okay, so it can be a non-probability of this thing. So, and hence it's less reliable on that way. Okay, so this can be four methods of doing a random sample. I would quickly go through them. You can pick up a random sample in the most simple way. You have got a list in hand. You have got, say, just you think you have got some numbers, some figures, anything. It does may include names. It may not include names. It's not compulsory. You know the list. You know the things. You pick and choose someone. Okay. You are teaching in the class. So you pick and choose any student to stand up and answer a question. Okay. Like, say, if I'm asking a question in this group, this is a simple random sampling. Okay, I throw it open. Anyone who picks it up would be answering this question. So it is as simple as this. So it can be a stratified sample, as I told you an example. Let me just turn the slide. So stratified sample, that means it's a non-overlapping population. Okay, just give you an example that there are certain characteristics which are non-common. Okay, so which are uncommon in both the things. Okay, like say gender. So either you can be a male or you cannot be a male, or you can be a male, you cannot be a female, something like that. Okay, so you can have an age criteria, you can have a class criteria. Based on your research, you can have a a stratified population which is to be done. Okay, say for example I am analyzing the result of say CBSE, for example, or any state board. So what I do of class 12th, say for example, so what I can do, I can make four sections out of it. Say maths, biology, commerce, arts, say for example, humanities, say for example. So I made, and I'm comparing the four results of between amongst these four say stratified samples. Okay, so something which are non-exclusive in nature, something wherein you can draw a clear distinction between the sample, that can be used as a stratified sample. Okay, so it can be a systematic sampling as well. So it's convenient, and obviously systematic sample, that means let's take an example. Say for let's take this as an example. So what you do, see, you have to somehow arrive at that, a number. Okay, a random figure. So there are ways to arrive at a random number. So in a systematic sampling, what you do, say you decide that okay, there are total 10,000 numbers. You you want to take 50 as a sample. So what you do is that you take after every interval of 200. Okay, so after every interval of 200, the only, if you are doing a systematic sampling, please remember only one thing, that systematic sampling can be successful only if um, you are, the list given to you is what should I say, it's not in a set pattern. Say for example that after every 10th number, a name of a male appears in that list, say for example. Okay, or a female appears in that list. So it should not be some list like this. So what if I receive a list like this, then jumble it. Okay, jumble the entire list, and then apply de-apply all the filters on such list, and then choose from this. So every time you use a filtered list, you are using a stratified thing, but with an option. So it may not be exactly, it may not give you a random result, because the filters are applied. So defilter it, then use the same list, then it would give you a random result. Okay, so it should not be that after every 245th thing. Say for example, I'm doing a random quality check. So what I do, how do you say all the respected females in the meeting, how do you cook rice, ma'am, if you are not cooking it in a cooker? Any female over here who would like to answer this question? How do you cook rice? You take rice, you add water, you put it on a gas, and the gas is on, boiling them in a big bowl. Okay. How do you know that the rice is being, it's cooked? How do you know that?
1.5 whistle will take.
Sorry, ma'am.
1.5 whistle will take.
Checking the rice whether it is
It's an assumption that it will completely, and it's a experience previously experienced by.
Okay. So, you are quite good at it, ma'am. So,
Excellent.
somebody answered it that when I take some out of it, how much rice do you take, ma'am?
one piece.
Sorry, ma'am.
One piece.
One
One.
spoon, one
One or
spoon
two
of
piece.
rice.
Take one
Yes,
piece. Take one
That
then
would
piece.
tell you, see, that
Take one
one
piece
or
rice.
okay. So, ma'am, that would tell you that the entire lot of rice is cooked or not. Yes,
yes, sir. Because when I just
Yes.
try
Yes,
to
sir.
push
Yes, sir.
the
that's what I'm
yeah,
saying. That's the easiest way of remembering random sampling. So, next time you cook the rice, that's how you are doing a random sampling. Out of the entire sample which is available, you pick out some rice out of it, you test it that if it is cooked or not, that this would give you the idea of the entire sample. Okay, that's the best way of understanding random sampling. So remember this example, you will never forget what random sampling means. Okay, so say for example, I want to do say for businesses are geographically spread. Okay, it may be I give an example to understand this. Okay, so if you are doing any area based sampling, that would come as a cluster sample. So let's take an example to understand. Say for example, I give you a practical example. At one point of time, Big Bazaar, okay, in their store at West Bengal uh, started selling fish. Okay, and the demand for the store or the visitors in the store raised up suddenly. Okay, am I able? You are able to hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So Big Bazaar at one point of time started selling fish in their one of the stores at West Bengal. So suddenly they saw a upsurge or a rise in uh, the consumers coming into the store. So on similar lines, after they have experimented it for some few months in West Bengal, on similar lines they started doing this at Dadar in Mumbai. Okay, but to their surprise, the customers actually started going out. That means there was a downsurge, there was a downfall in the consumers coming onto the store. Got my thing? So same. It's the fish remains the same. One they are selling in the West Bengal store, one they are selling in the Mumbai store. Okay. When they interviewed customers, their so-called regular customers, they found out that the area in which this store was located was predominantly was predominantly the the Marathi Brahmins, and this Marathi Brahmins won't buy anything from a store which sells non-vegetarian. Okay, so so see, the same strategy which made you successful in one area may not be the same strategy that might have been successful in the another area. In any teacher from here with a background of say international marketing, any teacher here with a background of international marketing who teaches international marketing? Anyone here? Okay, I believe no one is here. Nonetheless, we understand this thing that when companies they enter into a foreign market, they have to change many of their strategies. Okay, like say for we all know the example that McDonald's don't sell beef in India, they may sell it in different markets. So you know many such changes are done, okay, to adjust to area specific characteristics of a consumer. Okay, so how easy it is accessible. See, the way uh, say for example, some things can be accessed in a tier 1 cities because they have got more access to the technology, may not be the same that has that might be the same or the similar thing advantage in a tier 2 or a tier 3 cities. Okay, like say for example, I give you another example. I won't name the bank. Forget about it. How does it matter? A bank experimented that, I'm talking, I'm giving you a data for maybe 7 years or 8 years hence. Okay, when ATMs were comparatively new a phenomena to happen. Okay, so they installed a ATM in a so-called suburb of a state. Okay, generally ATMs are, anytime money you can call them. Okay, so they are more hassle free to draw. Okay, unlike, now, it's the case of more of wallets and everything coming. Do you think that those ATMs were more popular in that suburb village, or अब आप समझ के देखो, please try and understand this thing. ATMs in urban area successful. Now you are taking the similar technology in a rural or in a suburb area. What do you think? How would the customers react? Would they adopt ATM? What do you think? No. Okay. The answer actually remained no. And can you imagine the reason as to why it was no? Okay, go ahead, Jansi. Security. What type of security?
Sir, because in what I have seen, as I've worked in HDFC Bank for a while, what I have
Great.
seen, the people who are living in suburban areas, they like literally write down their pens on
Hmm, hmm,
papers
hmm,
and they keep
hmm,
them,
hmm.
and that security matters for them. And
Okay.
sometimes it happens when they go in an ATM and the cash doesn't come out, they are in a state of panic. So that's
Hmm,
why
hmm, hmm.
they just don't. They visit bank with a deposit slip or a check to withdraw the money rather than going to a ATM.
Okay. Okay. So,
Sir,
but
sir,
yes, please.
lack of knowledge or efficiency also will be the cause.
Great, great. But to the surprise, what the bank found was something very surprising. That, what type of notes, non-availability of ATM facility in rural area is also a factor. Okay. Uh, the bank, particularly this bank, found out that they have got a different type of mindset or consumer belief system. And what was this? Very simple. Uh, what types of notes do ATMs give you out? The fresh currency notes, mostly. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And this, this place had an idea that the uh, chances of currency being fake or counterfeited is more with the fresh notes. Soiled notes are usually used. They might have transferred hands. Many people tell me a joke that anyone who gets an X-ray or a 500 rupee note, he would first lift it and see it. Whether they may understand it, they may not understand, that's a separate matter. But everyone who gets a 500 rupee note or an X-ray in a hand, they would lift it to see that what is there inside it. Okay, how many of us would understand an X-ray? Really, that's a question. But that's how it is. So, if a note wood is soiled, that means it is transferred through many hands, and the chances of it being fake are very low. So the people are not interested in using an ATM because their fear of ATM giving an counterfeit currency was high. Okay, so they believed more in soiled notes than in the new fresh currency. So what I'm trying to say is that different areas would have a different types of the way the product is put to use, the way the consumer belief system works. See, that's why we talk about the socio-cultural environment. That's why we talk about the different ideas, or business environment in particularly. Okay, so if your research at any given point of time is based on business environment, or which involves business environment, then please follow cluster sampling. Okay, that would be of use to you, that would be of help to you. Okay, because if you are doing an area based sampling, okay, that can be help. Okay, quickly I would cover non-random sampling. It may be simply that uh, it can be convenience. Okay, if I asked you, you answered, good. If you do not answered, I would ask someone else. Okay, so that's based entirely based on my convenience. I do not want to walk 1 kilometer. I just want to, collect data from the nearby companies. That's my convenience. So that's simply convenience. Judgment sampling, that means, say, if you want to buy an agricultural land, okay, who all would you consult? If you want to buy an agricultural land, who all you may consult?
It's the time of brokers.
Sorry.
Sir, recent time it is work of brokers.
Okay, brokers, the real estate brokers.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else?
Landlords.
The property dealer, the landlord, the farmers. Why would you consult a farmer, Sudha ma'am?
So a farmer might be in nowadays with the kind of debt that they are getting in, he might like to sell it out. So
Okay,
one of the reasons.
okay, or the landlord. So
Yeah,
maybe, you would say, if you are if you
I meant a little larger farmer, not like
okay,
a small time
okay,
farmer.
great. Okay, so my question was very simple. Say, for example, if I want to buy, if I'm interested in farming, if I'm buying a farmland for a farming, I would like to know it from an expert that how fertile this land is. Yes. Okay. If
Yes,
and then that's where the experts would be involved, and that's where the judgment sampling would come in. So if you are in any research, you are trying to validate this research through an expert. That means you are involving a judgment sampling. Okay, you can fix up different based on that quota. You can call it like, say, I would consult 10, say, I want to have a gender based research. 500 is my sample size, so I would like to have, say, 50% male, 50% of females. So that is a quota type of stuff. Okay. Snowball sampling, this is how largely, a police catches criminals. Okay, so what do they do? You catch hold of one gang member, then that gang member would lead you to another, and that's how the entire gang is caught. Okay, that's how snowball sampling. So what we can do as a researcher, very simple. So what as a researcher I can do, what I can do is that, say, I want to do a research on drug abuse. Okay, so I catch hold of one drug addict. This drug addict would lead me to another drug addict. So because he would be knowing people from his community types. So if you want to do any such research in which the sample is not readily available or readily exposed, okay, in such all such cases, snowball sampling methods can be used. Okay. Having said all this thing, I would like to conclude on this idea. Okay, that I'm skipping on this thing, and I come to this idea how to derive a sample size based on this thing. Okay, what can be a good sample size? uh Let me. Okay, so what all can help me decide a sample size? Probably one idea can be simple, that what other researchers have done. A similar typical research, or a typical a typical research, similar research which others have also used, so I that is justified. Okay, so say, for example, in Sudha ma'am's case, I come back to you, ma'am, that when you say your case, some research was done in US, and they had used a sample size of, say, 100 schools. Okay, so probably you can consider that as a background thing, that if he or she can draw a research, or if she or can was able to draw a conclusion from a research of 100 schools, then probably you would also be. The only thing is that you must understand it in totality. Okay, that, say, what type of 100 school, has the researcher given you any idea on this 100 schools? Say, how many medium size school, large size schools, anything, it can be in any data that you can relate with your research. So read the sample characteristics very carefully when you read a research. If you are in your initial days of research or of your PhD, then this initial things would be helpful to you. Okay. For example, there is a published data which can be I'm answering this question to you. I'm answering this question to you. Say these are some type of published tables which can be you can use on that thing. You can use a formula for calculating this. This is available. This is you can feed. This is available freely on Google also. So you can just put in certain ideas onto Google, and this would give you a data of this. Okay, so please remember that one, as I told you, that while trying to fix up a sample size, one, say, for example, if you want to, I want to do a research basis on the basis of age. Say, for example, I'm giving a very, very simple example. Okay. Say, for example, I want to do a research on age. Okay. My research involves a criteria of age. How should I decide on? Okay, I decided on a total sample size of say 700, say for example. Okay, I'm not getting into that figure, that how do I arrive at that figure, that I would come later part. What would should be the distribution in this 700? How should I distribute that? What type of people I should take from young population, from the older population, and so on? You got my question? I want to do a research based on 700 people. My criteria is age. Okay, how should I select? How should I distribute this 700? On what basis should I distribute this 700?
A stratified,
Sorry?
a stratified sampling.
Agreed. My question is, Raviji, how should I decide the number? Stratified sample? Agreed. How should I decide the number of stratified sample? How many researchers say from a certain age group? How should I decide that? The simple answer to such question is that try and draw an idea from a published research. Say, for example, census. So census would give you an idea, or there are many researchers which would give you an idea that we are living in the youngest country of the world. So, where most of the people belong to this age criteria. So this can be a strong guideline for you of that particular age group. Say, for example, if, say, for example, in a country, in a city, whatever the case it may be, say if 50% of the people are below 35 years, say 10% are between 30 to 50 years, something like that. So based on this criteria, I can also select this, and this would be 100% valid. Most of the time, this remains a question even after you would do your PhD. Even if, as a reviewer, I can tell you, in journals, we keep asking this, we can pose this question to people, that how do you arrive at this number? Okay, how do you decided that, okay, you would take only say this many men or this many women? Okay, what was the basis of choosing this? So the best answer is that look into the demographics of the country. We all have, whether it may be a state, it may be a city, or it may be a country, we all have a gender ratio. Okay, male is to female ratio. So if your population, if your sample is matching the gender ratio, that means the criteria through which you selected the sample is valid. That becomes valid, because based on this, then your sample becomes a representative of the population. That is what we started saying, that you know how much is the sample. Second, larger the sample, statistically larger the sample, easy it would be to answer any question for you. The smaller the sample, the more question marks it would be raised. So try and pick up, go one extra mile. If the guide says that okay, 700 is good enough, go an extra mile and make it 750. Okay, no one would object to that thing. If you have written 700, if you are in your thesis there are 750 or 800 samples, no one would object to that. Okay, so higher on a higher side, okay, walk an extra mile on a higher side, look into that thing. Third, remember again, what is the research question that you are choosing? Say for example, if I want to do research on, say, the leaders of corporate India, okay, then my sample can be a smaller one, and that still it would be justified. Say if I've chosen such type of criteria with companies, say, over 10,000 crore turnover, so then obviously my sample would be a distinct sample. So remember that there is, you know, larger criterias are fixed in terms of sample selection, but always understand that it is always based on what type of research question you are undertaking. That should also be justified in the way you design the sample. Answering the last question, which somebody has put up in the chart, this thing that okay, the sampling procedure in all cases should be random or not. Dr. Riman Saha Chaudhary. Uh, Chaudhary sir, in larger parts, in theoretically as well as practically, random samples are more relied upon. Okay, if you say that my work draws a random sample, obviously the reliability increases. Non-random samples, reliability is comparatively less. In some cases, it's more question mark based. Say, if I say it's my convenience sample, so it may become a question mark. It's, some people can ask me questions based on that. As soon as you say that your sampling was a random in nature, then probably things would become a little comfortable for you in answering also. And statistically also, random samples are more reliable in nature. Dr. Chitra Shekhar, you have raised your hand. Dr. Chitra Shekhar, you have raised your hand. Any questions that you would like to pose, or anything else that you would like to tell me? Dr. Chitrasekhar, you raised your hand. I believe that was, that was by mistake. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much. I won't be, I won't be using more of your time on that thing. I'm really, once again, my apologies, sincere apologies to you for being late due to, uh, due to this technical glitch. Uh, Priyanka ma'am, thank you very much. My sincere thanks to RFI and especially Ajay Jain sir for this platform. And thanks everyone. Once again, I wish you all a very happy Teachers' Day. To all my respected colleagues who have been with me throughout this, one and a half hour. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Wish you
Yes,
a
please.
very happy Teachers' Day, and don't be so, apologies, because it's just a glitch. Everybody is
I
aware.
do understand, ma'am, but I do believe that if I would have been sitting on the other side of the thing as a participant, I would have felt bad.
Don't worry, I snatched your time.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Priyanka, ma'am, you have been a great help.
Thank you so much, everybody. And from my side, I am again saying Happy Teachers' Day, and we are ending this session. Some hands are raised. Dr. Chitrashekhar
Shekhar and Dr. Mohinder,
Mohinder
your
ji.
hands are raised. Any questions that you would like to pose? I believe, ma'am, that was done, but it's just a mistake, maybe.
Probably. So thank you
Probably
so
it
much,
happened.
sir. And thank you, RFI. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice evening. RFI team, can just end up the meeting? RFI team, you can just end up the meeting.